All right. Jeff Shaw.
Hey, man.
How are you? Welcome
Good.
to the Comedy Cave.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. This week we got Jeff Shaw at the Comedy Cave here in Calgary. He's hilarious, you guys. Like and clean too. Like we had a great time.
Yeah, we had a small crowd, but they're a mighty crowd.
Small but mighty.
And you warmed them up great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and we never worked together, but today we met at Supercuts.
That's right. Oh man. And then we're like, hey, let's go do a show
let's go
together.
do a show together. Yeah, at the Comedy Cave.
Yeah, it was super fun though. Like, you really like. I felt like, especially with the woman from Leeds, Britain, she started off kind of reserved, not really laughing at much, and you had her rolling by the end. So.
Well, what happened was, as you know, she wasn't getting any of my jokes.
Yeah.
And then I kind of teased her about it, and she goes, I'm sorry, I don't understand any of her references. And that was what I needed to crack the code, and that was the through line that I used for the rest of the set.
It's true, because after that, you were almost catering to that. Oh, by the way. And
Yeah.
even if she didn't get it, but then you let her get it, the fact that you were starting to explain everything, she was busting over that.
Yeah, well, that's the secret to having a good show, like no matter how many people are in the audience. Am I supposed to be looking at the camera?
No, we're just cash here.
All right.
Don't worry. Me and you, buddy.
All right, so, because is this mostly audio, or is it all?
Well, I'll put it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but.
When you have a small crowd, it's even more important to connect with the audience.
Right.
And if you get lucky, you can do your act and they can be on board with it. But if it's not, you have to figure out what the problem is and how to connect. And then you bring them on board for the rest of the show. So you have to find a way to connect. And I ask questions like, if I know this stuff works great and I'm giving them my best stuff, why aren't I connecting? And for the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the show, it could be because there's just 4 people. We should clarify that we're talking about tonight's show had 4 people.
Sure. Yep.
You know, and so it like you make one person angry or they leave, you've lost a quarter of the audience. You know, but at the end we had everyone buying us a beer. So the key is when you have a small crowd is you have to make sure that you're not reciting your act, because as comedians, like with me, my act, the way my act is rehearsed and the way that I've perfected over the years is it's a dialogue with the audience. Now, the audience doesn't, hopefully they won't talk to me, they won't heckle me, but it's like I do my line and they laugh, and the timing is dependent on their reaction.
Okay.
And so I'm kind of like laugh surfing. So I can be a little more mechanical, but I'm going to cover it up, and they're not going to really know that I've done these jokes before.
Right.
But when you have a small crowd and you're working extra hard to deliver everything, and you're trying to make up for the fact that the timing has completely changed, comics have a tendency to become a little more mechanical, and they're more like reciting mode instead of like performing mode. And so what I always try to tell myself is to stop myself from reciting or doing my act and try to communicate to the audience.
Yeah, it sounds like a recipe for bombing the other. Like,
yeah,
if you just get mechanical and robotic about it.
Right. And then you start to like drift or to kind of check out because they're not responding.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you could sit at a booth at Tim Hortons with 3 of your friends or 4 of your friends, and you can have them rolling.
Yeah.
So it's the same. So like what I did this show is if I have 4 people in the audience, I don't think, oh, wow, this empty comedy club. I think that this is like Tim Hortons, a big Tim Hortons, and we're the only 4 people late at night.
For sure.
And I'm communicating them the way I would communicate to my buddies sitting across from me in the booth.
Right.
And then so you're having a conversation, and you're not worried about making them laugh. You're worried about connecting with them. And if you connect with the audience, the laughs will come.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like that's what happened.
Yeah, and that's why, and that's exactly what happened, because I'm like Captain Sully. I know how to land the plane on the Hudson River. You know, you have to land the plane. And if you have to trust your instruments.
Yeah.
Like to use a flying analogy, it's like when pilots get certified, they can either fly with instruments or visual. And the less experienced pilots fly visually, which means they can only fly in the daytime in good weather because they can tell where they're going and if the plane is right side up. by looking out the window.
Right.
But if you're going to fly at night or in fog or rain and you can't see, you have to trust the instruments. And a lot of times it's counterintuitive because they feel like that the show is like the plane is upside down.
Yeah.
And so they'll pull on the stick or whatever, try to right the plane, and they'll actually turn upside down and crash. The same thing can happen when you're doing comedy. If you guess that the audience doesn't like you or that they're rejecting you, and then you get in a defensive posture or you pull up, you're gonna lose altitude, and then you're gonna crash, and the audience really is not gonna like you.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to trust that everything you say is funny, and that you're a great comedian. So if they're not laughing, it's not a matter of your worth as a comedian, your experience, or the quality of your material. It's about the dynamic of communication between you and the audience. And so when you know to fix that, then you won't pull up on the stick and crash the plane because you're not messing with the altimeter, you're not messing with the rudders. You're messing you're finding a more organic way to fly through the turbulence.
So it's really about understanding your tools.
Yeah, and also understanding like having a broad enough frame of reference to why an audience might not be reacting.
Right.
So they could feel like they're too vulnerable because they're the only people there. They could feel like they have to laugh at everything.
Yeah.
But also too, when there's only 4 people, when you are in a comedy club with 100 people, 200 people, 300 people, 400 people, then at any given time, only a certain portion of the audience is laughing at everything. When you hear a big wave of laughter, you can't get 400 people to laugh at every single joke 15 seconds the same amount. Some people are going to relate to more strongly to some bits, and others more strongly to others, and some people might reject a bit altogether, whether they didn't get it or they were offended or what have you, or it's not their cup of tea. So, but then, because there's so many people, that rhythm, that ebb and flow is kind of disguised because there's an overall collective energy that transcends that. So you're going to get a certain amount of laughter that's audible.
Right.
And then underneath that, people are going to be like fluctuating. But when you have 4 people, that ebb and flow, like not being able to laugh at everything, is audible. It's visible. It's palpable.
Yeah.
And so you can... And to not pull up on the stick, to trust your instruments, you have to realize that they still like you, but that's a normal thing that you wouldn't normally experience that dynamic. At any given time with 400 people, there's 50 people that didn't laugh as much as that joke. But when you expect an audience to laugh just as much at every single joke, and there's only literally 4 people, there were 7 people here tonight. You, me, the 4 folks, 2 different couples, and our bartenders.
Yeah.
Our waiter. So what you can do is you can, if you don't trust your instruments, you can think that they're rejecting you on that joke. And it could be a joke that always kills. Well, they are experiencing your show in a way, and if they're on board, they're loving everything, but it's physically impossible for every person to laugh at every joke.
Right.
So that's an example of like the calibration you have to perform, when you're on stage and how not to panic.
Are you thinking about these things in real time?
It's not really.
Or is it instinct now?
Well, no. The lesson was learned, and it's analytical. Like the knowledge is only in my head, just the way I'm describing it.
Right. Yeah.
But in practice, because I know this and because I practice it so much, it becomes muscle memory or reflex.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Like when Captain Sully used that American reference from 10 years ago, when he's landing the plane, he wasn't going, okay, I'm going to land on the water, so now I have to fix the flaps a little bit. I have to turn it on because I'm not landing on a runway. No, he just knows how to do it, and he does it.
Yeah, it's like walking or something.
Right,
it's
right.
We're not thinking left, right.
Right, but you have to have the experience because when you're a comedian, you react instinctively. And if you're not developed, if you're not an experienced comedian, you have a limited frame of reference for fixing or addressing certain problems that pop up during your show. So when it's a great thing to be able to play in front of 10 people, 20 people, drunk people. You have to play to all different types of audiences as a comedian but the key is I was lucky enough to have a lot of mentors when I started, and I worked in the States when there was a comedy boom when I first started out. The first 10 years, I played with full clubs and was Tuesday through Sunday, and I worked with all these big stars, and so I had enough people giving me good advice And so in order to make performing in adverse situations work for you, you either have to research it or people have to tell you how to make the right decisions. If you're constantly playing in front of tough crowds, you're never going to be able to perform in front of good crowds because you develop habits and reflexes that only work in bar rooms or with hecklers or with drunk people. Like if your technique for getting through a tough bar show is by getting really dirty or slamming the people in the front row or doing hack stuff or just kind of like you're not going to find a way to handle those situations that will still allow you to know how to perform for good audiences. You pick up too many bad habits.
Right.
But so if you learn how to get through adverse shows in a healthy way, in a comedically correct way, where you're doing the right things and actually winning over the audience and not dominating them.
Okay.
When
Yes.
when you play a lot of comics when they play like bar shows and they're poorly attended, you're trying to defeat the audience. They're trying to battle you. You're trying to battle them, and you're trying to win because you're the comedian. But what we did tonight, you and I both, and that's why you set them up so perfectly for me, is we tried to bond with the audience and win them over.
Yes.
And make them feel like they were seeing the best show they've ever seen. And it also helps that this is 4 people in a real comedy club.
Right, not a
and
bar.
not 4 people
Yeah.
in a bar.
Yeah.
So tonight, and you have to have a lot of experience to be able to not give in to the reflex, to do all crowd work or to bail or to constantly make fun of yourself or the show. Now, I made fun of the fact that they weren't laughing tonight, but because we found a reason, and I was trying to keep it organic. And,
it worked.
And I found a through line.
Yeah.
You want to find a through line that helps you, and I guess for people listening, we had a British couple up front, and they weren't laughing. And then when we found out, the lady finally gave up, put her head on the table, and said, "I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't understand any of the references."
Right.
And then it was off to the races.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
And then we got lots of laughs just playing off of that.
Just referencing things.
Yeah, and you know what? I just talked for 15 minutes, and you only asked one question.
That's amazing.
You could just take a nap.
I'm enthralled, though. I'm like, because to me, like, I do this every week.
Oh, okay.
And very few guys are as theoretical about comedy as I'm finding you to be.
Yeah, I had to. I don't have any talent for this. I have
Come on.
No, I have zero talent. It's all skill. It's all like learned.
That's why I want to do it too, because I feel like it's a skill-based thing, and like
yeah, I have zero talent for it. In fact, that's why it's taken me so long to get good.
He's underselling. He's fantastic.
Well, talent is something you're born with. Skill or chops is something you have to earn, and it's harder if you really don't have a talent for it. I've got talents for other things like, creative writing and foreign languages. I was a linguist in the Army.
Yep.
So, but
Your Spanish is very good.
Thanks. Do you speak Spanish too?
No, but I heard you.
Yeah.
It was a fluent thing you did on stage. So.
Yeah. So, what's your next question?
Well, yeah, like, is that how you built yourself up then? Is through theory that you internalized?
Yeah, like a lot of guys, everybody, how like there's the law of thermodynamics, the law of aerodynamics, the law of gravity, and there's all these laws that govern the universe and the various sciences and stuff like that, like geometry, trigonometry, and the equation can be proved. And, like in math, how you prove like a multiplication problem, that your answer's right is you use division to prove it. Chunks of balances, you can't get a helicopter to fly, you can't get a plane to fly, you can't build a skyscraper that won't fall over unless you use the science.
Yeah.
Like when you're building a skyscraper, there's all the blueprints and the codes and all these laws of physics come into play. Well, I call it the law of comedy dynamics, so in order for an act to work or a joke to work or a bit to work or for an audience to love a comedian, things have to be comedically correct. The act has to be follow certain formulas and certain laws or it's not going to work.
Right.
Now, guys like Kevin Hart, Louis C.K., other guys, they learn those. I think people like that internalize the things. Like, they learned it, but they learned from watching and they soaked it up.
Right. Okay.
You know, and so they don't know that they know it. That's why these big, huge superstar comedians, you ask them for advice, they go, oh, just be yourself. Just, you know, do what you feel. You know, that's horrible advice.
But that's how they do it.
Right.
Yeah.
But me, because I never had that luxury, I had to learn tooth and nail, rung by rung. I had to learn lesson by lesson, chop by chop, how to become a good comedian. And so it's much easier for me to articulate things that comedians can learn and things they need to know in order to excel and to improve and to be good at their craft.
Yeah.
Whereas some, like, comedians that are so much better than me, they may know how to do an act out. Like comedians that take off right away, nobody told them to do an act out. Nobody told them the laws or the rules or how to do this, how to do that. But they watch somebody and they go, oh, this is how it's done, and it just comes out like that. Me, I didn't know what an act out was until 10 years ago.
Okay.
You know, so like I had no idea so many things about stand-up comedy. So I had to learn it, and I think that's why they say, like, those who can't do teach, and those who can't teach, you know, manage. You know,
But you're
right.
good.
So the thing
Like,
is I think the best teachers are guys that are mediocre or good comics but aren't superstars, because the superstars, it's just like something that comes naturally to them, even though they are following the same rules.
you're saying you're a good teacher, aren't you?
Yeah, you know, but because I had to learn that way myself.
Do you teach comedy?
I don't have like because I don't have a like official course. So I don't teach, like, get paid for it and stuff like that, because I figure if I'm so smart, why don't I use my own advice and become famous?
Yeah, well,
you
it's
know,
not that that the fame part's not that easy.
Well,
The
no,
skill
no.
of making people laugh and connecting is.
But I'm well received and respected in the Cleveland comedy scene, because I always take time to help explain things to comics, and they have a hard time finding people who will give them advice, because like I said, guys that are just so good, they don't really know what they're doing. It's all feel, whatever. So, like, the worst advice I think you can give a young comic, like, I hear, like, the really good comics say this all the time, and I was told this when I was younger, just be yourself, man. Just be yourself. And I said, that's the worst advice. Don't be yourself.
Yeah.
Because you know what you are? You're a horrible open mic comic.
Right.
So don't be that.
Yeah.
What you want to be is the exact opposite of yourself, which is a journeyman, experienced, amazing comedian. And so you have to stop being yourself and start being a professional comic.
Okay. So did you read a bunch of books and is
Not
that
in the beginning, but it's books that I've read. Like, as the better I got, I tried reading books in the beginning, but I didn't have enough experience or a frame of reference to understand.
interesting?
But now that, like, the better I got, the more books made sense to me.
Okay. I get what you mean, because I read some books like when I started 4 or 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it helped a little, but not really. But you're saying go back to them now, and you'll
Yeah,
probably pull a lot
Yeah, that's
more.
why it's hard to give advice to young comedians, because most of them aren't ready for the advice you're going to give them.
Yeah.
And so the best advice, now, it's big. Now, a lot of the famous comedians do say this. They say, get on stage as much as you can, write as much as you can. Now, when they say that, that is actually the best advice you can give somebody. But when they go, just be yourself and just believe in yourself, no. You suck, so don't be you. be a great comedian. You can't just do that for somebody telling you. You have to learn.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to reps and stage time. But all the stage time, all the gigs, like, you know, people like do these bar shows and stuff. Unless you're learning how to be a real comedian in a real club, all those bar shows are a waste.
Yeah.
If you're playing in front of 10 people and you don't know how to translate winning that audience over to winning over an audience of 10 people in a real club where they have standards,
Yep.
you know, and those people having a good time and leaving here feeling this is a club that features great comedians, you're doing a disservice. So, and there's so many things that comics have to learn. But nowadays, like, the most amazing thing about the modern comedy scene in most big cities is that it's a DIY approach. Like, when I started, all clubs were Tuesday through Sunday or Tuesday through Saturday, whatever. And
Like this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they had an open mic night. and that every single club in America had an open mic night, and they had a talent pool of comedians, and those comedians would become MCs, then features, then headliners, and go on the road and all that stuff. And then they'd spend 10 years as a headliner and come back after failing in L.A. and have a comedy class every third Saturday. But nowadays, that infrastructure doesn't exist. That support, that methodology, that syllabus of becoming an open micer and making your way to headliner, that game plan doesn't exist. That career path, that clear and cut career path.
Yeah, those checkpoints on the road.
Yeah, it doesn't. Those benchmarks, it doesn't work. They don't exist. So comedians take things into their own hands, and every single like comic in Cleveland has their own room. In Cleveland, Ohio, where I'm from, almost every night of the week there's a book show where comics go on and do their best 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then right after that, there's usually another room right down the street, and where it's a show and go. You can even walk up with your notebook, which I totally am against, but you can just show up and do all new stuff, and that's every night of the week. The only problem is most of those comedians are performing just for other comedians.
Yeah.
And so when I help other comedians or give them advice, how like Bill, there's this newscast, this TV personality from Fox News in America. His name is Bill O'Reilly.
Oh, we know Bill.
Yeah, so he would say like a no spin zone.
Yeah.
Where I call when I give comics advice, and when they sit at my table at the comedy clubs or the bar shows, and I help them go over their set or give them advice, I call it a no fist bump zone.
Okay.
No fist bumps allowed. When you walk off stage, if you didn't do well, then you should expect people not to look at you, not to high five you, not to whatever. When I started out, if you bombed on stage or your jokes won't work, nobody would talk to you. They wouldn't look at you. Yeah, like you had to earn the respect of your other comedians by learning how to write jokes. Now you can go up and take a dump on stage. You walk up, a guy won't even look up from his phone. He'll fist bump you as you're walking by.
Yeah.
And so what happens is it makes comics think, it removes the vulnerability. I mean, what helps make comedians get better, at least when I started, was the abject horror, the fear of dying and being humiliated. So when you remove that, unless your goal is to really just become the best comedian, even if that is your goal, you don't know how to do it. So sometimes you don't know what trail to follow. Well, a good trail to follow is humiliation. Get off that trail and get onto the, people giving you positive feedback. But you should only get reinforcement and told your bit is good or your joke is good if it actually was.
Yeah.
So comedians aren't getting honest feedback. They're just getting fist bumps. And so they're going, when you see them perform a real show or do a guest set at the big club in town, they got long setups, they got no punchlines, because they were never forced to tighten up those jokes or fix them because they were accepted.
Because the reinforcing, they
Right.
reinforced that it was okay to be this.
Yeah, you go up with a joke that isn't correctly, let's make it more technical, and if you go on stage with a joke that is poorly written in a real comedy club in front of real people, the joke will die.
Yes.
You do that for a room of 20 comics, they'll fake laugh just because you said something raunchy or something whatever, and then they'll fist bump you and give you a ride home. You all go to a bar together, and now you think, hey, I did well tonight. And
I'm a comedian.
Right. So the thing is now you go on stage with no fear.
Yeah.
And with no sense of quality control, and then you get lucky enough to get an MC week at a real club, and it's crickets.
Yeah.
Because it didn't get honest feedback. So working bad rooms only helps you when you're an experienced comedian, because it gives you additional skills to get to the next level.
Right.
But when you're a new comedian, only playing crappy gigs doesn't help you.
Right. Yeah.
You need to work real audiences to really develop real skills and real material. And the catch-22 is you can't get that type of stage time in real comedy clubs anymore.
Until you get a little better, too.
Right.
And you're not going to get better in front of those bad audiences.
There you go.
I see your catch-22 now.
Yeah.
So, holy, this was amazing.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. It was so good. I hope you will do this again sometime, because I learned so much from you today.
Oh, no problem, man.
Jeff Shaw, come see him this week at the Comedy Cave. You guys are going to have a great time.
Right?
Yep, 7:30. Tonight through Saturday. Tomorrow night through Saturday. And yeah, we're going to have a great time. I'll be here.
All right, man.
So thanks again, man.
Thanks for letting me get a jaw workout in.
Okay.